Welcome back to No Huddle, everyone. We are officially in the thick of it in the World Cup. The round of 32 has officially wrapped up, and it was filled with a lot of drama and honestly great results. But overall, we are down to 16 teams. The teams have been cut in half, and we only have a quarter of the teams in which we started, and we got some incredible fixtures ahead of us. There are 8 games to talk about. Only 8 teams will progress, and 8 will be going home. Some will try to keep their dream alive, while others, it will end in massive heartbreak. So let's predict every single game of the World Cup round of 16. I went 12-4 in the round of 32, so overall that's a pretty good set of results in my opinion. But overall, these fixtures should be very exciting and intriguing, so let's just get started. First up, we got Canada versus Morocco. Canada won with a last-minute win against South Africa. Meanwhile, Morocco also won in an emphatic way on penalties versus the Netherlands. This game's a little interesting because I think Canada can be a little bit of a frisky team, but I'm still going to take Morocco in this one. Overall, I just think they're the better team. I think they've shown more progress, in my opinion. I'm still not too convinced by Canada as a whole. I think they squeaked by in a lot of these results outside of their big result against Qatar. And overall, Morocco, I think, has shown a little bit of strength. Obviously, they just knocked off the Netherlands, and in my opinion, the Netherlands are even better than what Canada is. So I think that they'll be able to lock down in defense. I don't trust Canada's attack with overall having to cover down, trying to get past Bono or Hakimi or another guy, one of those guys. And overall, I just think that the Morocco attack will be able to do just enough. I think the game can stay close for a little bit. Canada's defense, I think, can be a little bit good, but I just think Morocco, if they just give you one potent attack, I think it'll be enough. And overall, I think that Morocco is going to win in a pretty close game. Next up, we got Paraguay versus France. Paraguay upset Germany in a penalty shootout. Meanwhile, France dominated and thumped Sweden 3-0 in the round of 32. I feel like Paraguay winning would probably be the biggest upset, maybe even in World Cup history, or one of them at least. But I'm still going to take France here. Overall, France has just been easily, for me, the best team in this World Cup. Their attack is obviously incredible with Mbappe, Olise, Dembele. We already know how good it is. And overall, I think Paraguay, while they were able to hold on against Germany, while they aren't terrible, their attack is obviously very, very underwhelming, and it's not very good. Compare that to the lethal high power that is France. Overall, I just don't see Paraguay being able to hold on enough, and I don't think that their attacking power is enough to be able to match France's. Even if Paraguay is able to get 1 or 2 goals, I don't think their defense is going to be strong enough to be able to withstand France just getting 3. I think Mbappe will be great, Olise will be great, and unfortunately for Paraguay, their dream run will end here. Mind you, this team conceded 4th to the USA, and now you're expecting me for them to try and hold on against France? Unfortunately, I don't see it happening, and I see France progressing to the final 8. Next up, we got Brazil versus Norway. This is one of the more intriguing matchups, in my opinion. Brazil was able to win in last-minute fashion against Japan. Meanwhile, Norway was able to squeak out a close victory against Ivory Coast. Overall, I think you could go either way with one of these teams. This should be one of the closer games, but I'm going to stick with Brazil in this one because I think they'll be able to minimize Norway's strengths to a degree, which is obviously Erling Haaland. Obviously, if you want to contain Norway, you have to contain Haaland because he's probably the biggest or only threat that Norway has. And I do think that Brazil has the personnel. I think Marquinhos and Gabriel can do a decent job of denying him at least a little service, so I don't think he'll have as many chances to score. And then you look at the Brazil attack, I think that it will be able to do enough. I think Vinicius is going to be more daring. I think he's going to be more aggressive in terms of attacking, and I would hope that Cunha and Ryan are able to pull off some great performances compared to against Japan. And overall, again, they still have these guys off the bench. You can still summon Neymar or Endrick if you're in desperate need of a goal. So I think Brazil definitely has options in terms of being able to score, while I think Norway's game is a little bit more one-dimensional. So I think Norway's going to have a worse time in terms of minimizing Brazil's strengths, and that's why I think Brazil will win. It will definitely be close. I could definitely see this game maybe even going to extra time, maybe even being penalties. And at that point, I think I trust Alisson and Brazil over Norway, which is why I'm going to take the 5-time world champions to progress to the quarterfinal. Up next is Mexico versus England. This might be the most intriguing matchup of them all. Mexico dominated in their round of 32 game against Ecuador. Meanwhile, England squeaked out a last-minute win against Congo. Overall, for the love of God, England, please win this game. I'm taking England in this one. Mexico obviously has been one of the more impressive teams. I begrudgingly say that, though. But overall, Mexico, I do believe, still has some weaknesses. Overall, this is still the best team that they're going to play. England is obviously better than Ecuador and anyone else in their group. But Mexico obviously has a lot of strengths. We saw in the game against Ecuador that they play insanely aggressive, and that is something that England has to watch. I think their midfield has to be very, very comfortable. Rice, Bellingham, and Anderson have to be on their toes because Mexico is going to look to play with a lot of intensity. Overall, I think if they're able to survive that first wave and just create a slew of chances, I think that no team really has threatened Mexico in terms of their attack, which I think England can do. So we're going to need to see a good amount of creativity from those midfielders, specifically Bellingham, and those wingers to be able to feed service to Harry Kane. Overall, I think they will be able to do that, but England will be up against it because this is at the Azteca, which is obviously a massive home field advantage for Mexico. But I trust England that they'll be able to send Mexico home, even though I do think it will be an absolute dogfight. I wouldn't be surprised. This might be even harder than what the game against Congo was. And unfortunately, I do see a world where Mexico wins, but I'm going to ride with England so far. Up next is Portugal versus Spain. Portugal made it with a 2-1 very controversial win over Croatia in the dying minutes. Meanwhile, Spain was able to dominate over a very mediocre Austria side. I want to pick Portugal really, really badly, and I will be rooting for Portugal in this game, but unfortunately, I'm going to roll with Spain in this one. This is very different from the Nations League final matchup in which, in my opinion, Portugal was the better team on that day. Overall, Spain is just better equipped for facing Portugal. Portugal has just been very underwhelming in this tournament. Mind you, this midfield that is supposed to be better than all these other midfields has been insanely underwhelming, and now they're going up against a midfield trio in Pedri, Rodri, and Olmo, or whoever else, that can probably dominate the ball even more than them. So Portugal is probably not even going to have the control of the match. I think Spain is just going to control way more of the ball, create way more chances, and we already know that Portugal doesn't even like creating that many chances. So I just see a hard time in which Portugal is going to be able to keep up with Spain unless they're able to get them on the counterattack. And overall, I think the only way that Portugal wins this is if Nuno Mendes has the performance that he had in the 2025 Nations League final, because I think for Portugal to win, Lamine Yamal basically has to be absent in this game, which I have a hard time believing because he is Lamine Yamal. He's a great player. But if there's anyone that can maybe do it, it is Nuno Mendes. But I still don't trust that even if Nuno does a great job on Lamine Yamal, he'll still do good enough in which he'll just be able to do more than whatever that pathetic Portugal attack does. So I think Portugal can keep it close. Maybe it goes to the last minute again, but I think Spain this time will squeak it out over the matchup a year ago. Now we got the USA versus Belgium. USA dominated against Bosnia with a 2-0 win. Meanwhile, Belgium had one of the more emphatic comeback victories in this World Cup against Senegal. This is a rematch of the 2014 World Cup round of 16, 12 years later, and trust me, the USA is going to win, god damn it. Overall, Belgium is very squeaky in my opinion. They're very, not fraudulent, but I don't know. It's hard to trust them in my opinion. The USA has been playing some good football, so while I think Belgium can obviously show that resilience and obviously never quit attitude, I think Pochettino has the team set up in which they're not going to get flustered if Belgium wants to come back from behind. And even though they don't have Balogun, I do think the USA will still be able to create chances. And I'm still very skeptical as to how Belgium played. Like for the first 85 minutes against Senegal, they played pretty pathetic, honestly. And I don't think if they pull off that performance against the USA, I think they'll be down by maybe even more. And the USA, in my opinion, is not going to fold like Senegal did, because I think they'll be able to notice that they're not going to choke in these big opportunities. Overall, I think that I just think that the USA attack will be able to do enough, and I'm still not entirely convinced by the Belgian attack because guys like Kevin De Bruyne, Trossard, and Lukaku, even though they produced well at the end against Senegal, I'm still not, I still don't rely on them to be a huge reliable goal threat, which is why, in my opinion, the USA will win this 12-year rematch. A couple more before we end. We got Argentina versus Egypt. Argentina squeaked out a massive, scary win against Cape Verde. Meanwhile, Egypt prevailed on penalties over Australia. I want to pick Egypt really, really badly, but I'm not going to, unfortunately. Argentina is going to win this game. Argentina is just able to execute down the stretch. You want to say that, they struggled against Verde, so maybe they'll struggle against Egypt. I think Argentina can struggle against any team in the world, but they'll still be able to win because they're just the more experienced team. You trust Emi Martinez to make a last-minute save. You trust the defense to come in clutch. You trust the midfield to control the game. You trust Messi and the attack to come up with a moment in the clutch. And I think that, in my opinion, they're going to dominate. But even if it goes to a close game, I'm not going to trust Egypt, who barely squeaked past Australia, over Argentina, who has been in this moment time and time again. Overall, I think the defense will be able to neutralize Salah enough, and I just don't think Egypt have the personnel or the goalkeeper to be able to match against Messi and this Argentina side. So unfortunately, I think Argentina is going to dominate. And again, in the ultimate tiebreaker, which is a penalty shootout, I'm not trusting Egypt even if they just won, because the other side has Emi Martinez, who is good for saving at least 2. So yeah, Argentina wins and progresses to the quarterfinals begrudgingly. And the last game is Colombia versus Switzerland. Switzerland was able to win against Algeria. Meanwhile, Colombia was able to get a 1-0 win against Ghana. This is honestly a little more interesting because I do think Switzerland has a chance to pull off an upset, but I'm still going to roll with Colombia here. I think Colombia has been not as impressive as what I thought they would be, but I think they've been able to squeak by results, and I think it's enough to trust them. Luis Diaz is still obviously a giant X factor. I think their midfield is a little underrated, and I think their defense, for the most part, has been really, really good. They've kept 3 clean sheets and have only conceded 1 goal in this entire tournament. Meanwhile, Switzerland, they haven't really faced that great opponents. They just beat up on Algeria, so it's kind of hard to put any stock in that. So I think Colombia is just overall, I think they're a little bit more experienced. I think Switzerland, they had a really nice run here and there, but in my opinion, I just don't think they'll be able to keep up with Colombia. I think Luis Diaz, he's gotten very unlucky to not be able to score against Congo, against Portugal, and maybe even against Ghana. So I think he'll finally be able to have his moment. And in my opinion, Colombia is just a better team. I think they'll be able to out-execute them, even without that major experience. They had it in Copa America, in which I think if the game gets tight, unless they're playing Argentina, they'll be able to squeak by a win, which is why, in my opinion, Colombia will take the last quarterfinal spot. Wow, man, this World Cup has been absolutely incredible. We got some amazing matchups ahead of us overall. Some teams will try to make history and try to make a deep run, while some players will also try to etch themselves into history in this World Cup 2026. But overall, who do you guys think is going to win? We got some incredible matchups. It should be really entertaining. So I wish all these teams good luck, and let's have ourselves an amazing round of 16. That is all I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what are your guys' thoughts on the round of 16, who is going to win and progress to the quarterfinals. If you guys enjoyed this video, please subscribe and please like, as any support is truly appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next one.